Hi Moonbeams, welcome to this video. This tag, the TarotTube2026 tag, which was created by Amethyst Ascension Tarot. I originally found this video through Lennon Smith's VR to it, so stick around. It's got some really good questions that really made me have a think and have a deep dive in there, and there's going to be a spread there as well to do. So I'm so excited. Watch this space. So the first question is, what drew you into the tarot community? And if you've been watching my videos before, you'll know I've mentioned that I've been reading tarot for 19 years. And so I picked up my first tarot deck 19 years ago, and I was reading with it. I was reading for friends. I had two decks. Well, I had one deck for a long time, Bob, and I found out who what name it is. It's the Royal Tarot. We've got Bob, and I had him for quite a while, and then I got another deck that kind of aligned more with being able to read better. And I was reading, and then my kids came along, and I kind of put my cards away for quite a bit. And then fast forward into really a deep dive, me throwing myself in really fully 2 years ago. So I'd had learnt it all previous, and then was going back into it properly 2 years ago. And the first place I went was YouTube. I've been watching YouTube for ages. I picked up my love for tarot again through TikTok and through a community there in TikTok. But then I quickly, as I discovered tarot and TikTok, I went to look at where I can find Facebook, and I can't think of the word. You'll have to excuse the brain freezes. And then into, refreshing my brain, listening to, learning about tarot, finding out all I can kind of from a knowledge perspective. So I really jumped into the tarot community in terms of wanting to get as much knowledge as possible and wanting to learn and watching videos like that. So it's only been in, say, the past year where I've been watching a lot of TarotTube in terms of people flipping through decks, people talking about decks, talking about their practice, everything like that. So I've kind of always felt like a little bit of an outsider in a lot of traditional groups that I used to, do makeup quite a lot and be interested in cosmetics. And I never quite felt like I fitted in. And I've kind of hopped from hobby to hobby, and not felt a place where it kind of scratches the itch for me until I found TarotTube. I don't think I'll be, I'll always be using tarot, and I'll always be wanting to learn, and I'll always be watching in terms of the community, because I find it so soothing. Like just watching somebody go through a deck, watching somebody explain why they love it and the artwork and everything, and it's just so calm and soothing. It's very meditative. Try saying that 5 times. It's very meditative, and I'm a bit of a highly strung person, so it's very nice to kind of have that grounding and that calming thing there. Yeah, I was a watcher for about a year, and then I was watching it for quite a while, watching it for about a year, and then a couple of months ago I thought, I've got all these, I've got my deck collection's not huge, but it's I'm quite happy with it. It's like 90% there. Apologies with the mess. And I was like, I've got all these beautiful decks that I don't really see a lot of other people talking about. I am a little bit of a mass market queen just because of budget and things like that. And I was like, I want to talk about these decks because I love them, and I want to go through my love of tarot and the way I, see artwork and things like that. So I just wanted to share, sorry, I've got notes down here. I just wanted to share that love, and I wanted to connect with like-minded people to just grow and develop. And I've learned so much. I have learned so much, like even down to things like tarot systems, not tarot systems in terms of like your Thoth or your Rider-Waite or your Marseille, but in terms of how people chronicle their readings. Because I was just doing a reading, I was thinking about it then later, and then I was forgetting about it. I was not logging anything in terms of what spreads I was doing or anything like that. So now I've got a whole new diary with a load of systems in place that I've found from other people and what they do. I'm starting now a study book where I'm gonna get all the guidebooks and go through each card and write as much information down that's pertinent from those guidebooks, so that I've got for each card, I've got a whole like Bible of information. And I saw that here on TarotTube. I'm not quite sure who it was, but I'm now starting that. From that study point of view, TarotTube's really helped me. Whereas TikTok is about the readings, getting readings and things like that. There's no real kind of educational standpoint from it. So I've loved watching people's, even down to people's diary choices, people's what systems they use, whether they do a monthly spread, whether they do a yearly spread, whether they do weekly spreads. I've looked at people that use envelopes and things like that, and that's really kind of helped me grow and learn. And it's given me loads of things to try. My card of the year is the Hierophant. So the Hierophant, it's all about learning. So I feel like I'm coming into this YouTube journey and this TarotTube kind of content journey from a point of view of I'm still learning. I'm learning. I didn't know about tags till recently. I'm still learning and I'm still growing, and that's a really exciting journey to be on. Yeah, so exciting. The second question is, what has being part of the TarotTube community taught you about yourself? Now, I think it's taught me that having been on TikTok and created content on TikTok and having created content on YouTube, I much prefer YouTube. I'm going to say it. I know a lot of people who know me know my sometimes frustrations at the other platform, but I like it because it's long form content. I like making the long form content. I like chatting to you guys, and like I say like a lot. I like having that conversational way of working that I think other social media platforms don't have, because it's all about, what can I put my message across in 10 seconds or 30 seconds or whatever. It's about short and precise, and it's designed for people who, it's designed for you not having a lot of attention span. Whereas, and it is changing, it is moving, but longer videos don't tend to do as well. So I love YouTube from the point of view of, I like to create this long form content. I like to flip through my decks. I like to talk about them. I like to voice my opinions on them. I like to talk a lot. That's my thing. I'm a, you know, I was a drama teacher for many years. I was, you know, into the theatre and things like that. That's what kind of I am. I'm a chatty type of person, if that makes well, that does make sense. Yeah, so what has been part of the community taught me as well is about trusting my gut. Trusting my gut when things don't feel right, or, you know, kind of trusting my gut in terms of my opinion with tarot and my ethics and my perspective on things. You know, I've kind of being part of the tarot community, and I'm talking about being part of the tarot community outside of TarotTube as well. If something's niggling, trust that it's kind of, it's, the tarot community is so varied and so wide, and there's so many different people from so many different walks of life with so many different like gnosis and things like that, that it's a like melting pot. And sometimes that can mean that people get annoyed, or people get frustrated, or people voice their opinion, and other people disagree. And from watching all that and watching that unfold, it's taught me to, if something feels off, don't try and kind of, if something feels a bit off with me, don't try and force that connection. It's taught me about, you know, the Six of Pentacles, reciprocity, you know, reciprocal. If people are being, you know, commenting on my videos, and I will respond back. If people are, you know, commenting on my videos, and that, I will hop over and watch, you know, their videos and things like that. And it's like, I'm not going to waste time chasing people who perhaps for whatever reason don't mesh with my vibe. So, and it's also taught me that, you know, it, within the tarot community, there are so many different people, there are so many different points of view and things that we're not always going to get on. There are going to be, like, I would say clashes of opinion, clashes of ego, and it's about going to that and going to it in a way that you recognize that you've got your own point of view and your own ego. Often we are a mirror for each other, and if something, I have to like recognize my own triggers, and I'll say, you know, this is mirroring, this is, you know, this person acting this way is a mirror. What is it showing me? And kind of digging deep into that and realizing that I've got my own triggers as well. I've got my own, you know, things that will rile me up the pole, and I'm fine with that, but I've got to step away from the emotion and think, well, I'm going to be rational about this. Like, for example, AI. You know, my opinion, don't get me started on AI. And I've got a very strong sense of justice, which I already knew about before kind of getting into the TarotTube and everything. I've got that position, but I've got to recognize that about AI. I've got to recognize that not everybody comes from that gnosis, and not everybody comes from that point of view, and just respecting that everybody has their opinion, and it's not really worth getting riled up about. It's not really worth kind of, yes, you can put your opinion across, and hopefully people will understand that and listen to it and engage in it. But if they're not, then that, I can't do anything else about that. Like, I really think that AI is a very dangerous thing in terms of, definitely in terms of the artistic community and things like that. But not everybody shares my point of view. So, and that's fine. But I'm not going to be like making like passive aggressive jokes about it, or getting all riled up or whatever. Let them, just leave them to it. They've got their position, and that's fine. So yeah, Another thing I've just seen here, just because other people hype a deck doesn't mean I have to kind of jump on that train. The tarot community's taught me that there's so many different people with so many different tastes, and I mean, my taste is not for everyone, and that's fine. But there are like certain decks where a lot of people love them and a lot of people will like ride or die for them, and I'm just like, I don't get it. And that's okay. That's okay. I don't have to conform. I don't have to fit into that stereotype. I'm going to use the example, and I feel like I'm always using this as an example, the Lightseers Tarot. I don't get it. I do get it. It's a very good deck and it's a very well done deck, and I understand why a lot of people love that deck and use that deck, but it just doesn't do anything for me. Whereas something like one of my friends actually said that they had the Crow Tarot and that they couldn't connect with it because of the like more abstract style. And then when he said that, I was like, oh, that's what my style is. I like things that are a little bit abstract, a little bit blurred the lines. I'm not into this super, well, not super like modern realistic. I don't like historical decks. I'm not really keen on historical decks, but I see other YouTubers who love and rave about historical decks, and that's brilliant, but it's just not my cup of tea. I have bought tarot decks that I've kind of seen people rave about, and I've watched videos and I really have thought about it. Shadowscapes Tarot, I know I keep going on about it, but then I've got it and it's just not me. It's just not in my kind of style, or, you know, it's not my jam. I'm going to sell it. So, you know, and that's okay. It's okay not to like everything. It's okay not to, you know, I love Patrick Valenza decks, but that's not for everyone. I love, you know, MJ Cullinane and Anatorian. That's not for everyone, and that's fine. I prefer mass market decks just because, in terms of my brain, if I've paid 50, 60 pound for a deck, like I do have an indie deck, I'm scared. You know, I was using my Raven's Dream Tarot and I run over it with my swivelly chair, and I was mortified. It's got a dink in it. And I was mortified because of the cost and the price and things like that. So I am a bit of a budget, you know, budget loving queen. It's okay to not like want to be like everybody else. It's okay to, you know, not be like, oh, I'm going to buy all the indie decks. Maybe you don't buy any decks if there's no decks that, and that's okay. Like at the moment, I'm at a bit of a standstill with my wanting to buy decks because I just don't feel like I need any in my collection yet. If the Dali Tarot was going to go out of stock, like be discontinued, or go out of print, I would definitely hit and buy that. So I've got ones on my wish list which I do want, and if they were to go out of print, I would buy. But at the moment, I've got, you know, I was very fortunate at Christmas. I've got so much that I don't need to shop, and I don't need to kind of go into all that like mass market consumerism thing. I've got around 50 between 40 and 50 tarot decks and a few oracles. I don't have a lot of oracles. And again, the deck pairing thing, you know, the deck pairing with aesthetic, it's taught me that that's not really my thing. I will use a deck that has a similar message or vibe and might not actually look the same. So I'm trying to think of an example. So the Raven's Dream Tarot, I will usually link with, I will link it with my Witch's Oracle. So they don't look similar in any way, but they do work well together. They tend to vibe with each other really well, like pairing tarot decks, for example. I'm loving at the moment pairing my Thoth with, where is Betty, with my, again, another black and red. Again, aesthetically, these don't work together. You know, people would be, they're not similar, they don't like look similar, but they work really, really well together. I have done a reading for a friend and we called it like the blunt read, because Betty, this is Betty, one of my first decks. Betty is, she packs a punch, she doesn't hold back, and my Thoth is very direct. Definitely, when I read with my Thoth, it's a very, very direct read. So I mix the blunt and the direct, but both, and it works. You don't have to. I think it's this, we're getting out of this consumerist trap where we feel like everything has to look similar or has to be the same or has to kind of, and again, you don't have to pair decks together. You can just use a tarot deck. And if you feel like doing an oracle, do an oracle. Maybe I haven't found oracles that really like work in the same way that tarot has for me, but I will always go to tarot. If I've got a question, if there's a read, I will always go to tarot. I've learned through going through this community and seeing a lot of people, brilliant readers who use mainly oracle and then just do a bit of tarot, and that I am a tarot girl. I am, give me a system, I always know it's 78 cards, give me a system and I'm there. Give me I love tarot, oracle decks with keywords on, because they're much easier. But sometimes with some of the oracles, say for example, again, I'm learning this about myself, this Solitary Witch by Lucy Cavendish, like the Company of Trees. I'm a bit of a lazy girl. I don't like having to constantly look at the guidebook. So this tarot deck doesn't get, not tarot deck, oracle deck, apologies. This oracle deck doesn't get as much use because it doesn't give me keywords to bounce off from. And that's, maybe you might say, oh, well, that's the whole point. You've got to meditate with it and you've got to sit with it and you've got to look at the guidebook and read it and everything. But I've got 2 kids. I've got a teenager and I've got a one that's like in year 5. I ain't got time. I want a message. I need it quick. You know what I mean? So the keywords like the Dark and Dangerous Oracle, I do love, because it does give you, with most of it, it does give you like the blessings. It does give you something to go off. I much prefer oracle where it'll give you some of the keywords so that you're not as heavily reliant on the guidebook. So I've learned more about how I like to do tarot and how I like to do oracle. Basically, love tarot, will do it all the time. Oracle is if I need a bit of clarification, I will do them in reads for others. So I will use Oracle as clarification, things like that. But for myself, I just don't really use them. Yeah, because I tend to do a reading, write it down, and then wait till the evening or the next day to then think about, well, how has this fitted in with my day? How has this fitted in with things there, rather than going predicting what is going to happen. I have found that I do future readings. Or, you know, I've got a year ahead read. And it's about the energy that's taken forward in those months. But I tend to be more of, well, what is this making me reflect on? I'm more about the here and now. What do I need to look at? What do I need to do? What am I moving through at the moment? And yeah, and it's taught me that it's really a lot of work as well, because if you're doing a monthly read, a weekly read, and daily reads, that's quite a lot. That's quite a lot of things to do, and my brain gets mashed. So it's teaching me how I'm going to be able to, in future, I think next year, hone my practice so that I'm not giving myself too much work. Because again, I know that I'm a bit demand avoidant. If it feels like it's a chore and I have to do it, I won't do it. I won't do it. If somebody tells me, Nikki, you need to set up this, I will be like, no, I'm not doing it, because I am a stubborn Capricorn. I just won't, unless I'm coming to it from my own autonomy. And I'm like, yeah, I want to do that. You know what I mean? I want to, you know, when I'm getting to the point where I want to learn the Thoth, I will learn the Thoth. But at the moment, I'm not in that headspace to do it. If somebody told me you must learn the Thoth now, I'd be like, no. I'm very stubborn. I'm very stubborn. Hopefully this is like helping you get to know me a little bit better. Now, next question. What moments made you feel most connected? So the support that I've had from people in the community, especially like doing the tags and things like that, like meeting loads of different people and growing my, you know, feed in terms of finding more people that are talking about tarot. That is really, really, I've loved that. I've loved kind of finding so many different people through doing this, and finding so many more channels. And it's mainly things from like the tags and the VRs. I've been able to kind of find more of you, and that's lovely. And again, we're all not going to get on. We're all going to have different points of view, but that's okay. We're all kind of have to be respecting of each other's different positions. Another thing was a little bit of a fangirl moment. Was I was in the Hermit's Cave live when he was doing Cards Catch Up and a Cuppa, and they were talking about what deck you would save if you had to, you know, it's an emergency and the house is, you know, burning down. What deck would you save? And I said I would save my Tower of the Abyss. My Tower of the Abyss is like my comfort deck. I will always go to it. It's like a safety blanket. I just love it. You know, for me, the Tower of the Abyss is like a lot of people's Lightseers. And bless, I'm not saying that, I don't want to say like bless in a patronising way or anything, but Anatorian like said, oh, thank you for that. And I was just like, oh, I was just so, it's so great that the tarot community, the artists are all there, as well as the people that consume, I'm going to use consume, people that consume tarot and buy tarot and collect tarot are there with the artists as well. Like that's an amazing thing, because you don't usually, like, I'm part of well, kind of music community wise, I'm part of some groups to do with my favorite band. Don't know if you can see Ghost. And obviously the artist doesn't pop there in the groups and say, oh, hello. It's something unique about the tarot community that these artists that create these beloved decks are people that are actually online as well, and they have social media and they can respond and things like that. So yeah, it got me a bit fangirling. You know, it has made me feel like I'm part of a community. From, you know, from being a teenager, I was always a bit different. I was always a bit strange, and it compared to others, I'm saying. And I'm not saying that, you know, everyone in the tarot community is strange or different, or, you know, like I'm neurodivergent. Not everybody in the tarot community is neurodivergent, but it's such a I would say embracive space that everybody is kind of embraced. Nobody is singled out. It's not about your athletic ability. It's not about your artist ability. It's just about using this ancient beloved system, well, like hundreds of years old system, and kind of helping yourself grow. So yeah, I love that tarot has brought a plethora of people together. I love that word, plethora. It's brought a plethora of people together with the common aim to expand themselves, to grow, to develop, to kind of get into knowing themselves a bit better and knowing the world a bit better. So yeah. Then what lessons have helped you grow, even the uncomfortable ones? I think I've touched on a few of them already. Like with any community, there are people's different points of view and people's different egos at play. Again, I believe, you know, if something gets you to react, that's a mirror, and you've got to think, well, why am I being triggered that way, or why am I responding that way? I am very aware of my triggers, and I can, a lot of the time, you know, having done a lot of work, can say, oh yeah, I am a bit stubborn, because that's me. And I can then be a bit more, you know, a bit less stubborn than kind of, because I'm aware of it. But with any community, there are lots of different points of view at play. There are lots of different intricacies, and sometimes that can go south, like that can descend into people not being nice and things like that. And I just try to keep my ego in check sometimes and go, you know, as I said, I'm very passionate about some things like AI, fake decks, things like that, and I've sometimes come across a bit blunt, and then I've got to realize, oh, I've come across a bit blunt, I might need to kind of tame it down, or something like that, because I've had such a strong opinion about something, because it's, you know, irked a nerve. If anybody's seen my Wicked walkthrough video, it touched a nerve, and I was very reactory. Maybe, you know, stepping back into it, it wasn't as much of a big deal as I kind of made out. But we all live and learn, and that's the lesson that we learn, is that we're not all perfect, we're not all amazing and fantastic, and that some, you know, we're all human, and unfortunately sometimes that's judgment, that's reaction, that's, you know, things like that. So, you know, it's a microcosm of the macrocosm of the world. Like, the world's, you know, there's a lot of craziness in the world at the moment, and I think the tarot community and TarotTube can be a macrocosm sometimes of that wider chaos and disarray, and then it starts playing in there and stuff. Another lesson is about consumerism. I think being part of TarotTube and from the point of view of a watcher and a creator, is it's so easy and it's so tempting to go, oh, I like that deck, I'll just pop it in my cart. And now I'm coming to the point where I'm really having to think of, because I've only got this much space, I've got to think of, do I really need this in my collection? What is it adding? What is it going to give me that other tarot decks or other oracle decks? As I said, I'm not as much of an oracle fan. Other oracle decks need. For example, the Somnia Tarot. This is my only photography deck, and I was like, I need to get an oracle to pair with it that's a photography oracle. And I've seen one and it's relatively cheap, but I'm like, do I really need it when it's probably going to be a deck just used for me, and I don't really use oracle decks? So it's made me question whether my mass market price, mass market purchases, which are not as, gonna be honest, mass market decks are cheaper than indie decks. I was looking at getting a copy of Patrick Valenza's and I've got the mass market version. So I've got the illustrated pips. I was looking at getting a copy of the rainbow version of the same deck. And I'm like, and I actually waited too long and missed out on there was a box where it was cheaper because the box had been dinged. And I was like, well, I want to use it. I'm not going to sell it. So it doesn't matter really if the box is a bit dinted. And I waited in order to kind of have because I was being responsible, have the funds to cover it, and it went. And then I'm looking and I'm going, well, I could buy the non-dinged box, but do I really need it? I've got the illustrated pips edition. I do want to get a pip deck that I can use more of, because I've not got very many pip decks. But then I'm like, but I could just then get another pip deck or use a Thoth, or you know what I mean? So it kind of, because it was all rainbow and shiny and everything, I was like, oh, I need it. No, I don't need it. I don't need it. All I need is one tarot deck that you really gel with, and that's my Tarot the Bits. You could do anything you want with it. So there is definitely, and I'm sure that the community is moving more towards recognizing that consumerism is a trap of you buy, you put on a shelf, you don't use, you buy again, you know what I mean? And I'm really trying to shop my deck collection now and get to the point where I'm gonna really spend some time giving these decks some love, because I'm gonna spend some time giving these decks some love before I kind of jump in and purchase. There's one oracle that I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get when it comes out, which is a Vampire Fae deck. But apart from that, I'm slowly moving out of that needing to buy everything in order to, and the same with YouTube. You feel like, because you're a content creator, you feel like you have to have an unboxing video or things like that. You don't, because again, I know my unboxing videos don't do as well as, say, a tag or a talkie video about what decks I'm using for the month. So I'm learning that you don't need all the new shiny things. New isn't always better. You don't need all the new shiny things. You've got everything you kind of need. And that leads me into the question about, how does the tarot community feel for you right now? And I'm excited because I'm at the start of my journey. I've only been a couple of months really consciously posting into TarotTube. I'm excited to connect with more people and to connect with more like-minded people. Like there was somebody's video and they were saying about that they don't pair in terms of aesthetics, and that made me feel validated. That made me feel like, oh, it's okay that I don't, you know, have aesthetically pleasing tarot pairings and things. And somebody said about the fact that I've got a lot of mass market decks, and again, it's comforting to know that there are other people that share those opinions and those points of view there. So I'm excited to connect with more people and just grow and just chat about tarot. I think TarotTube, the community, is on a bit of a precipice at the moment in terms of like the direction that it's going. I think a lot of people are now, and I saw this happening in the beauty community as well, because I used to be like on BeautyTube, you know, like Makeup Tube a lot quite a few years ago. People again started moving into that whole no buy, low buy, panning their stuff, using this, you know, using what they've got. And I think the tarot community is moving more into that now. There was that big, like, possibly frenzy of, you know, the pandemic and everything, of people buying deck upon deck upon deck upon deck, and, you know, that consumption. And now people have got to the point where they've got the collection that, you know, they've got a wide collection of tarot decks that they can shop from themselves, and they can rediscover. You know, I've been using the Crow Tarot. I haven't used him very much in the past year, and I've loved getting to, you know, use this deck again. So it's about, I think people are moving into a questioning about consumerism, questioning about, well, how can I shop my decks and use what I have, rather than going out and spending, like, as my mum used to say, the money burning a hole in your pocket. And I have a tendency to do that. When I get some money, I tend to go, well, what deck can I buy? And I'm being very conscious now to be, no, I'll just wait, and I'll wait till I really get that urge and I really feel confident that I want it. I've had decks on my wish list for 2 years now, and things like the Earth and Bone, it's been on there for a long time, and I'm just, I might buy it, I might not. It's just not giving me that. Yeah. So yeah, consumerism is being questioned quite a bit. Another thing is, it's actually bringing into question, like, what does community mean? What does it mean to be part of a community, and what are the intricacies and the kind of inner workings of all, you know, that. Everything that happens all around us is a mirror to show us something, or it reflects something within us. And then when we have an opinion about it, we're reflecting our opinion, and it's all a mismatch of different voices, and we're a mirror to each other as much as the cards are a mirror to us. Like, the cards are the deep work. When we come and other people voice different opinions or say things that are different and stuff like that, that, you know, triggers something within us, or that activates something within us, and we then gotta look back and kind of think, well, why is that activating me? Why am I having a response to it? You know, I'm thinking as well, like, I had a response on one of my early videos about my camera footage being kind of not in focus, and I got a bit defensive, and I was like, I've only got the funds to record on my phone. I record on my phone. And I even put it on my 50-inch screen TV and watched it on there, and I'm like, I can't see any focus. I can't see any focus issues. I can't see any problem. I got a friend to watch it, whatever. And I got so het up by this one comment. That's like one person's opinion. And yeah, and I was not recognizing that I pour my heart and soul into these videos. I do. I pour a lot of love. I pour a lot of effort and energy. And I've got some, you know, I've got a condition where sometimes I get lots of brain fog. So it's really, really hard to, you know, keep continuously having one now. Keep continuously like vocalizing myself in a clearer, respondent way, because I will get, you know, my brain will like this stop. And it was because I'd poured so much energy into it. When somebody was kind of responding with perceived negativity, but it does kind of, yeah, I would love, you know, I would love to have the equipment to be able to focus and you can see the cards in all their beauty and everything like that. But at the moment, I am not at that point where I can justify it. So yeah, it's like, as with the whole world, there is a lot of reaction. You know, there's a lot of reflecting, there's a lot of reaction, there's a lot of egos kind of at play in the thing. And I think we're moving more towards people breaking away from that consumerist, following that consumerist trend and going off in their own direction. And that's great and that's fine. I don't know whether I've just been rambling. Hopefully I make sense with that. Now, the last thing on the tag was a tarot spread. So we're going to get into pulling some cards and seeing what the response is. So for this 3-card spread, I am using my Trionfi del Luna by Patrick Valenza, one of my new to me decks. And the first question is, what has the tarot community taught me so far? So what has the tarot community taught me so far? What has... Ooh, interesting. I do think this is quite apt. I've got the 4 of coins. Now, I joke quite a bit. I am a King of Pentacles. And I have tendencies towards 4 of coins vibes sometimes, because I am a bit of a frugal. I like to be frugal. I like to know that my money's I'm getting the most out of my money. I kind of don't splash the cash too much, and try not to be. And I think the tarot community has taught me that that's okay. It's okay to buy mass market. It's okay to not jump on every trend. It's okay to, like, it's almost like coveting your collection. It's okay to covet, you know, the collection that you have already. You don't need to expand it. So like holding on to the decks that I already have, because I bought them for a reason, holding on to the decks that I already have and maybe making use of them and getting the kind of, you know, stretching out their usage before kind of moving on. I've tried to do that with the Shadowscapes Tarot, and I spent a lot of time trying to work with it, and it's kind of got to the point where it's like, no, I can't work with it. or I just can't connect with it. So now it's to move on, and you know, if I sell it, it'll go towards something else. It's okay to kind of have this 4 of coins mentality, and to kind of be frugal, and to not jump on the treadmill of, you know, mass market consumerism and stuff. Because again, I shop, you know, a lot of mass market, just because I think the mass market decks appeal to me more than the well, a lot of the mass market decks that I've got appeal to me more than the indie. But I've now got to the point where I've gone, right, well, if I do want an indie, I'm going to save. Rather than buy 4 mass market decks, I'm going to save and get one deck that I know. For example, MJ Cullinan's Coastal Crow. I do want that. I know I do want it. At the moment, I'm like, do I need another Crow deck? Probably not. But that's the one on the list, and that's probably, you know, going to be, you know, purchased soon. Anyway, let's move on. So the 4 of coins. So the next question is, what is the current energy in my relationship with TarotTube? So what is the current energy with my relationship with TarotTube? Ooh, like this. The Wheel of Fortune. So yeah, the Wheel of Fortune, I always say life is a roller coaster. You've just got to ride it. In the words of Ronan Keating. I always say that with this card. You've got to ride the ups and downs, and you're going to have the luck come in, but you're also going to have the times when the wheel turns. That's the way things are going. And I just had the song The Only Way Is Up by Yaz come into my head. You know, I am going up that that lift hill on a roller coaster. I watch roller coaster videos as well. I'm going up that going up that lift hill. I'm slowly trying to expand and grow and just do more. And yeah, and it's going to have its twists and turns, but the universe is going to bring some interesting things. And I'm just noticing that either yeah, all eyes there. So it might bring, you know, people that look at me and go, oh, she talks too much, she moves her hands too much, she's too expressive. To that, you know, I'll just say, well, yeah, there's the scroll button, scroll on by, because I know that, you know, I might have not very many followers at the moment, but I know that there are going to be people that will come, you know, will like what I've got. That makes sense. Now, integrations. What lessons am I carrying forward? So what lessons am I carrying forward? 8 of Wands. Yeah. I like this reading. 8 of Wands, movement, everything aligning, you know, things coming in fast. It's time to progress. It's time for action. It's time to, you know, keep pushing myself, keep challenging myself, keep growing, and keep kind of expanding, keep this momentum. I you know, I'm going to be honest, I really struggled this morning to kind of get set up to do the video because it's really cold outside, and I was just like, I don't know whether I can film. But having that 8 of Wands mentality, getting up, getting and doing it, putting the hard work in, it will come in thick and fast, and it's going to, you know, it's going to bring some fiery little devils there. But yeah, so what am I carrying forward is the work, the passion, you know, the passion, the footwork, the energy. You know where that's from. More passion, more energy, more footwork. My head is constantly with memes and song lyrics and movie lines and things like that. My brain never shuts off. So I will say something that will trigger something in my brain. That's just the way I am. So yeah, so I'm very, very excited for this. I am so happy that I got to do this tag. Thank you, Amethyst Ascension Tarot, for creating the tag. I really appreciate it. And thank you to Lennon Smith as well, who I first discovered the video. I am going to be watching her channel because she's got a lot of Thoth content. And as you know, I'm trying to go on my learning the Thoth journey. So yeah, so check out all the other creators' responses in the tag, and you know, go and have a look at Amethyst Ascension and Lennon. And yeah, I will see you again for another video this Friday will be the last of my unboxings, which is the Ukiyo Tarot. So this is my last of my birthday and Christmas decks that I got, unless I get, because unless I do a cheeky buy, but I don't know whether I will, because I am looking at a deck to go with the Somnia Tarot. But yeah, that'll be on there. And I think after that will be things like my monthly roundup, and just thinking there, the monthly roundup, and I think I'm going to review some of my older decks. So I'm going to put them in order and review them and say how I've learned and grown with them and things like that. So yeah, I might do that, whether that would be or deck pairings as well, like the decks that I do pair up together might be another thing. So let me know if you've got any video suggestions and what you'd like to hear. Let me know in the comments. Thank you. If you like what you hear, please consider giving me a subscribe and a like, because it really does help grow the channel. And I will catch you again soon. Bye bye, moonbeams. Have a lovely week.